Well, welcome to the show. This is our view from the bench. Well, welcome to the show. I'm Brendan, assistant athletic trainer to the chess team.
I'm Corey, the ball boy for the bowling team. And like you said, man, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, dude. How was your week?
It's good. Kind of a lame week. Basic stuff at work, nothing crazy. Getting ready to work a concert tomorrow, though, so that's going to be fun. Other than that, man, pretty easy, pretty calm week. What about you?
Opposite. I saw freaking Drake on Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Killed it over at Staples. I don't care what anybody says. I will not call it Crypto.com Arena, except obviously to say that I won't call it that. I just went to Staples. It was great. Great show, dude. He killed it. Him and 21 Savage were there, so it was awesome, bro. It was super fun. Went with the wife and my friend Laffy. Super fun. So that was cool. Took Wednesday off, obviously, to recover because I'm old. So, but yeah, other than that, it was just a normal work week. Besides obviously throwing Drake in the middle bit, but
yeah,
it was cool. It was cool. So, but fun, crazy, breaking news to end the work week. Since we're talking about the NFL, we obviously have to talk about the Niners trading Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah,
wow.
I have to say, I was at work listening to the radio today, thankfully, because I was in the warehouse, so I had headphones on. And when they did the news of it breaking down, I was like, wait, the Cowboys? So do they not think Dak is worth it either? That's like my first question about the deal, really, to be honest.
I would say that maybe they're erring on the side of caution in that there's a reason why the Niners spent a lot of stuff, which we'll get into in a second, to get Trey Lance. Maybe there's something there. And since Dak is not guaranteed but likely to miss a handful of games, luckily, knock on wood, and I don't wish him any injuries ever. I say that all the time. He's never missed, besides that crazy knee, he's never really missed like
gross
heebie-jeebies, exactly.
Yeah, I was like,
he's never really missed like full seasons at a time. So he's going to be out a couple games. And so maybe their thought process is, let's see what this guy could do. Maybe they are like a similar build, right?
That's true.
Trying to be a pocket passer, but can move when needed. So
both come from small
maybe they're just going to take him. And they only gave up, since we're talking about the trade, next year's 4th round pick. Okay, still on a rookie contract. It's only he got drafted in 2021, so this is only his 2nd year basically. So he's got a couple years on.
From Cowboys' perspective, this is a steal, right? Like even if he
100%.
doesn't pan out, all he gave up was a 4th rounder. It's not like he
4th round pick.
Yeah,
I mean, you could find value in the 4th round, obviously. Don't get me wrong, but
but it's not a 1st round pick.
Exactly, and that's the kind of the main point. So, but as we started thinking back, we look back at that trade in 2021, and we see really what the Niners gave up. At the time, they were picking 12th overall, and they traded up with the Dolphins to 3rd overall. They gave the 12th overall pick, which is the 1st round pick, obviously, in 2021, a 1st round pick in 2022, a 1st round pick in 2023. And a 3rd round pick in 2022. So overall, 3 firsts and a 3rd for just to move up to get Trey Lance. So basically, that was given up. Miami is kind of sitting happy. Let me tell you what I found that they kind of turned those draft picks into. They then, in turn, traded that 12th overall pick and probably something else, I don't know what, to move up to the 6th overall pick and trade and draft Jalen Waddle. Great wide receiver. Speedster, right? Kind of matches Tyreek Hill. Maybe not speedster like Tyreek Hill speed, but speedster nonetheless. They then took that 2022 1st round pick and involved that in the trade for Tyreek Hill. Ooh. So Tua now has 2 of the best and fastest weapons in the league. Dude, they then used the 2023 1st round pick in the deal for Bradley Chubb to solidify their defense.
Wow.
So they got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, and Bradley Chubb, and still a 3rd round pick, which I don't know what they drafted. They gave up was the opportunity to get Trey Lance.
Wow. I mean, not that the Dolphins would have probably taken him anyway, but dang, that's a heck of a haul and what they turned it into. That's some good front office work right there, turning those 3 first rounders into other first round like caliber talent without having to actually draft them and build them up. They're already in the NFL and have shown that they can legitimately do their jobs. So it's good front office work right there.
Exactly. No, 100%. That was not so much great on the Niners. You said you saw a statement actually by them, right, where they kind of like took some accountability for the not panning out of all of this, trading all of these assets and for a quarterback that they quickly got rid of.
Yeah, it broke probably about an hour ago from now. John Lynch came out and basically said like we're owning up to it. We thought we had something there, we missed, and we're moving on. So again, just good organizations know when they made a mistake and then just cut it and get rid of whatever that is and move on past it. Don't try to drag it out and see what can happen and if you can change it. Like Purdy's obviously got this team taken care of as far as the quarterback is going, and if Darnold is beating out Lance as the backup, then you know it's not working and it's worth at least getting something for him, even though they gave up a ton in order to get him. You got to get something for him, even if it's a 4th-round pick. But like you said, there's 4th-round picks are not throwaways.
Nothing.
There's talent there, and the Niners tend to draft really well, so maybe they'll get something worth value out of it. But again, to move on past it, knowing it's not going to work, is the best thing.
Yeah, exactly. The best thing, like you said, an organization to do is pivot. Two examples, or two opposite examples of that. That I was giving you earlier was the Cardinals. They drafted Josh Rosen, and I believe had Steve Wilkes as the coach.
Yep,
that went horribly. So after spending their 1st-round pick, I believe it was 10th overall on Josh Rosen, they said, that's not it. Let's move on. We're spending another 1st-round pick, 1st overall, on Kyler Murray, and we're going to pair him with that coach that was supposed to do something. That obviously didn't pan out. It did okay. Kyler Murray's injuries and a lot of other things kind of made it, but it was definitely better than what it was Josh Rosen the other. So knew they made the mistake right away and pivoted. And the other one that I gave you.
The other part of the Cardinal one, though, a little bit, if you think about it, is that GM had to make it because if he didn't make a change, he probably was the one that was going to get fired.
True. It's not happening for John Lynch per se. Yeah.
No.
But an opposite of that, and maybe the GM, I don't remember if the same GM is there anymore, is the Bears when they drafted Trubisky, and it just wasn't working, and they just kept saying, no, I watch just next year, it's gonna work next year. Watch, just don't worry. So, and it wasn't. So they eventually got rid of him for absolutely nothing. And
I'm pretty sure it's a new GM now who took Fields and started the whole process.
And the other guy's gone. So exactly, kind of a similar point, but opposite ways. As I was looking, you want to throw the list of people. I found all of the people. So let's say the Niners do move up. Let's just say, okay, the draft picks are gone or whatever. But let's say they don't take Trey Lance. Look at all the people that they passed on from where they traded up to where they traded from, which was 3 to 12.
Yeah, and a lot of them are some good weapons that with their offense would be perfect. Like Kyle Pitts, it would be great. Jamar Chase, obviously. Waddle, who you already mentioned earlier. Penei Sewell, which would be a great thing as an offensive line to have somebody to build to run behind, which that's what the Niners do.
Yep, and maybe prevent some of those injuries to, I don't know, Jimmy Garoppolo or Brock Purdy.
I don't know, man. Garoppolo got injured in New England. I feel like he's just injury prone.
He's just made of glass. Yeah. But I'm just saying, Penei Sewell's already made a Pro Bowl. So
yeah, no, absolutely. And then there's a couple more. J.C. Horn, Patrick Surtain II.
That guy's lights out.
Another quarterback, Justin Fields, who hasn't done anything yet necessarily, but from what people keep talking about, he's going to make a big step up this year.
People like me.
Yeah.
I'm thinking the Bears. Check out our NFC preview last week.
The biggest one that I'm like, oh no, I can't believe is Micah Parsons. Could you imagine if they had him and Bosa?
Yeah. No. This would be the yeah. You're right. Oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. Because honestly, in the NFC, they probably go back 1 and 2. No offense to Aaron Donald, it's just the Rams haven't done much lately, so people aren't talking about him. So they go back 1, 2, and 3. For top defender in the league, and they would be on the same team possibly. Dude, Micah Parsons is elite talent.
A little bit.
So yeah. Anyways, we had to definitely break that down. We're not doing that, regular topic show as promised. We're doing the AFC rundown, but when a trade like that happens, we got to cover it. So definitely wanted to kind of talk about it and let people know what the kind of Niners had to pivot from, because it wasn't working out too well. But
see what happens in Dallas.
Exactly. So let's get into the AFC preview.
Let's break it down.
All right. On to the
Smack at it.
AFC.
Woo, my
Yes.
conference. Let's do this.
Yeah, this one was the one that's kind of most exciting to me, honestly, because I just think they're a better conference. So there's so many good teams and there's so many divisions.
Oh.
In fact, I think 3 in this entire conference, that 3 teams can make the playoffs. You know, at least they have the talent to. So this is the one I'm definitely the most excited for. So you pumped?
I am, because this was one. I'm a Titans fan, so this is my conference. But this was, like you said, this conference is stacked. Like, even looking at each division, I was like, man, the only one I really felt comfortable with off the bat was the West because of the Chiefs. But other than that, I don't know how I felt when I started this.
Yeah. Well, let's get right to that prediction of the Chiefs. We will start there in the AFC West. We're going to run it down just like we did the last time. We're going to have a crazy clown mouse chase, I guess, to kind of show our picks for division winners. Starting again with the AFC West. Yeah, that one's kind of an obvious one.
Yeah, like I said, the only one I felt good about.
It's the Chiefs division to lose, is it not?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't see why it wouldn't be. They have most of the pieces coming back from last year, and Pat Mahomes. Why would I go against him? Every year he's started, they've been in the AFC title game minimum. So I don't see why I would pick him not to win the division again.
Exactly. They would win the division for, what is this, the 8th straight time, because they did it with 2 with Alex Smith, and this would be his 6th straight division win. Yeah. There's not much stopping him. That's not saying the Broncos and the Chargers, no offense to the Raiders, that's not saying the Broncos and the Chargers aren't talented, but this division is his to be had. And I believe it will continue to be that way until he retires or decides to. I don't know. I feel like he really is that like Brady-esque talent where you just win. As long as you surround him with the pieces he needs to win, you win.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a big part of that too is he got a huge deal as far as years are concerned from most players in the NFL, but per year annual average is much lower than he probably is really worth, because he's kind of doing the Brady effect where he's taking a little less so they have more to spread out throughout the roster. And now that he's got a partial ownership in the Kansas City Royals and all his sponsorship money, like, I'm sure that it's not like he's only living off of his NFL contract. So I think in the long run, if he can just stay healthy and they can keep building around him, then he's never going to have any reason to complain and want to get more money than they're giving him at this moment.
And even that's $45 million.
It's still pretty good.
it's not terrible. Yeah, but to your point, he makes so much money off the field, and what winning does for his brand is what really kind of makes everything pop more. You know, that's what I feel like Jason Kelce also understands by taking. He's not the highest paid tight end, but I can't think of a better tight end I'd rather have on my team than him. So the fact that he only makes, I think, $14 million a year, definitely not the highest paid tight end in the league, is saying something to that winning culture that they're trying to promote. And
yeah,
that's how you get more money off the field anyways.
Absolutely. And, again, looking at this division, like you said, there's some talent on like the Chargers and the Broncos, but then there's the Raiders, who we don't even know. Like, I know Josh Jacobs, I think, is coming back now, right? And is he officially going to report and sign his franchise tag? I think that's the last I heard.
Until it happens, it's a TBD. You know what I mean, or TBA, to be announced, man. Until like from the horse's mouth, until I see Josh Jacobs and I hear him tweet, "Okay, see you soon, Raider Nation," whatever he wants to say, then okay, then fine. But they are the kind of somewhat of a dumpster fire. They just seem to be falling apart in like weird ways. Don't want to sign the running back. Devonta Adams seems kind of unhappy. Jimmy Garoppolo is kind of here, but they got rid of Derek Carr, who seems to be the same type of player, but less brittle.
Yeah.
So, it just seems awkward. I get that he knew him from New England, right?
That's the whole thing, is that he brought in a guy that knows his language and knows his playbook, so he thinks what we did in New England you can do here. But I mean, it's the Raiders, man. Like, they do have some good pieces. You mentioned Devonta Adams. Even without Josh Jacobs, like Hunter Renfrow, Austin Hooper at tight end, they have some decent offensive pieces. And I know their defense isn't terrible, but I can never trust them. And I feel like with the Chiefs, And the Broncos, like, even though the Broncos aren't going to win the division, I think they'll be better than last year. I think Sean Payton helps that offense at least get semi better. I mean, they were terrible last year, so they can't get worse than that, I think, with Payton there. And their defense was okay, so they're going to hang in some games, which means the Raiders are probably going to lose some games within the division, right?
Yeah, 100%. They're going to lose 2 to the Chiefs. Although they are one of the 3 teams. Mahomes is 27-3 against the AFC West. Not one against each. He's lost 2 to the Chargers and 1 to the Raiders. So, but that's it. He's out of the 30, he's won the other 27. So he just kind of dominates all these teams. But that's actually the Broncos to me is the biggest question mark. I see what they have. I see Russell Wilson. I see Sean Payton. Both have won Super Bowls, not together, but both have won Super Bowls. They have a good defense, like you said. They have some pretty good weapons, especially with Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy's there, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And yeah.
So I think that the biggest question mark is, does it work? I think they're both good, but I just don't, to be seen. That's all.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, the Bronco defense is great because last year you look at their first 13 games and they only gave up more than 19 points 3 times. So the fact that the offense was so bad that they lost games when they were only allowing 19 points or less, if the Bronco offense with Sean Payton can go from 21st last year to even like top 15 to maybe top 12, if they get to like the 12 to 15 range, that alone probably wins them at least 4 of those games last year that they were within a field goal or something at the end where they totally blew it.
There's a lot of good offenses out in the AFC, but I mean in the NFL alone. So being ranked top 12 is not going to be an easy feat, but Russell Wilson and those weapons, like we were talking about, it's definitely possible. So whether or not it happens is to be seen. I think the Chargers should be good. I think the best thing that they did is get Kellen Moore, because Brandon Staley has no idea. I don't even know if he knows how to spell offense, let alone run one. I know he did well for the Rams, playing, defensive coordinator position, playing in the defensive coordinator position for the Super Bowl team. So, or did they win it after he left?
I think they won it after he left, maybe.
Yeah, I think they got the job when they lost to the Patriots. Yeah.
Yes.
So they had a good defense. I guess they only gave up 13 points that game, but hey. But anyways, he needs to focus on what he's good at, and which is the defense. So get somebody in here, get Kellen Moore. Great, highly, loves to pass. Guy got freaking Justin Herbert with a cannon and accurate as heck.
And he's going to be paid for a while, isn't going anywhere. And we talked about this before with the Chargers. Like, they have one of the best rosters when you look at it on paper, on both sides of the ball. They've had the most Pro Bowlers in like the last 3 or 4 years as a team in the whole league. Like, on paper, they should be really good, but they always seem to do this thing where they Charger, kind of like Clipper. Like, it just seems like last year in the playoffs, they were up 27 on Jacksonville, and then they lost that game. How does that happen in the playoffs?
Yeah, it was 30-3.
Yeah,
and they lost the game 30-31.
Like, how do you? I don't understand. Like, at that point, I can't blame Herbert. You have to blame the coaching. And with, like you mentioned, Kellen Moore coming in, maybe also Kellen Moore coming in and being a younger guy. Maybe Staley will listen to him a little bit when it comes to those weird moments when Staley does, like, when everyone else zigs, he zags and does like the most bizarre thing, which then ends up screwing them in the long run. Maybe Kellen Moore can kind of be like, yo, man, maybe we don't do that right now. We kind of stick to our game plan.
Yeah, true. I could see that for sure. And he's used to it in Dallas. He sticks to his own thing, just runs a little offense. So
yeah,
I think it's smart that he kind of broke out of that and is trying to do something different. And in my opinion, Justin Herbert's a way better quarterback than Dak.
And they have the weapons. They have Eckler. Like, they have a bunch of offensive weapons that they can work with. So if Kellen Moore can do what he did in Dallas here with this roster, they're going to be good. So if Staley better have that defense ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to slight the Cowboys' weapons. Tony Pollard's really good. Yeah, he was really good last year. CeeDee Lamb. They had some decent players. So, but the Chargers are stacked.
Like you said, though, when it comes to quarterback, he's better. Herbert is better than Dak, and that's
way better. Way better. So I think Kellen Moore is gonna just flourish. I don't even talk about the coordinator. I think Kellen Moore is gonna flourish, which obviously means that then all of this is gonna flourish. So I think it's gonna be good for them. Obviously, rocking the Chargers. We're talking about AFC today. Junior Seau.
Throwback, man. Yeah. Dude, I remember watching him so many times back in the kid when we went there. It was awesome.
Yeah, so somewhat this is my hometown team. I kind of root for the Cardinals because I don't know, but this is kind of the one that I get to watch. So which is weird to say because my grandma was a huge Rams fan. I tried
Yeah.
to be a Rams fan, but after rooting for the Cardinals, I just literally couldn't do it. So
Yeah, no, I
I
don't blame you
defaulted to
one
the
bit.
other LA team, which is as I grew up a San Diego team. So.
Yeah, right. Heck yeah, but San Diego's a great city, and unfortunately they lost their team, but loved going down there to watch the Chargers all the time. Now it's just weird them being here.
Right,
Like,
agreed.
how many times do you hear people call them still the San Diego Chargers on the radio, on sports channels? Like, it's been how many years?
Often two, at least three. No, because they
Oh
played at the
no,
freaking no more like five.
yeah, we're at like
It was
5 or
before COVID.
I think this is
Yeah,
the 5th or 6th year now.
yeah,
Yeah,
agreed.
crazy.
I'm tripping. All right, well, tripping west, tripping on down to the AFC South.
Boom, boom.
Talking about your division, man. All right, let's see what your prediction is for how it will go. Picking the Titans. Yep. Oh, no. Yep.
No,
Okay.
not doing it.
Both settling on the Jags.
Yeah,
Not
unfortunately,
settling.
as a Titans fan, this hurts, but I just don't think we're good enough to win the division. Not that we won't compete for a wild card spot, but I just think the Jags, building on their momentum from last year, a second year for Lawrence in Doug Peterson's system, which as the year went on last year, he got better and better because they started off slow and worked their way late with a big streak. So if they can come out from the get go with a decent start, I think they're going to be really difficult to take care of all year. I mean, I think honestly, I think they can start 4-2. They have to play some pretty I mean, they go the Colts, Chiefs, Texans, Falcons, and then Buffalo. That the Chiefs and Buffalo game. The other three, I think they should win easily. Like,
Yes.
no problem.
Agree. I think this basically kind of comes down to, in my opinion, unfortunately, this is probably the worst overall division, mostly because of the Colts and the Texans,
Oh.
and because every other team has three really strong, or every different division has three really strong teams and one average one. But I think the two teams at the top here are Jacksonville, kind of clearly, but the Titans will be in the mix probably all season. I do think that the Jags eventually pull away. I have them winning the division by like 1 to 3 games, just a couple. It's not going to be, they're not going to secure it early on or anything like that. I think you guys will be fighting to the end. But I do think that you guys sit firmly in second, cruise to a wild card spot. Spoiler. And just got to hope that the defense stays what it was and that DeAndre Hopkins incorporates well, which run, Hopkins deep.
Yeah.
Touchdown. There you go. You're welcome.
Tannehill can stay healthy and the offensive line can do their thing and Henry do his thing, then DeAndre Hopkins downfield is going to be a huge thing for us. And hopefully, ultimately, that helps them win the division or get in. But I just, the biggest problem with me, the biggest problem I think too is the last game of the season. It's Jags and Titans again. So if it comes down to the last game of the season, I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I just know they end against each other again for the second straight year. So
okay.
if it comes down to that, I feel like Lawrence and them are just going to be like, well, we did it last year. We'll do it again. And then we're right back to where we were last year. Maybe a wild card spot, or we're kicked out of the playoffs entirely with them beating us at that point.
Okay. I can see that. I just looked it up. You are at home.
Oh, okay. That's a slight edge in our direction, but if they're much better than us, then it's not going to matter.
Agree. So this is kind of where, after those two teams, this is where it kind of drops off for me, though. I have Indy slightly ahead, but all this, Jonathan Taylor stuff is just getting weird. They're not a terrible team, but I don't think they're contending for anything. I feel like they're in that spot that's really bad for franchises, right? Where they are not terrible enough to get like good picks and stuff like that, but they're not good enough to be involved in anything significant. So I think they're just praying that Anthony Richardson can develop, even if it's not too quickly, but if they can see that progression, I think that's really what they're kind of banking on. I just say that they let him do everything. Let him make all the mistakes. Let him learn. Let him learn. Because I do think he has talent. I've seen him, and he seems like a super nice dude. I've seen a bunch of. I know I don't mean to talk about a nice in your division, but he just seems like a super cool guy, super nice. Remember that story when they were at camp, and he's the guy who stayed behind in the room to like help clean up, and all the people were like, "Dude, you have to keep going." He's like, "No, we can't just leave the room like this. We're all people. We can pick up after ourselves." He literally stayed until everything, or I think he had to come back or something like that. But either way, he's just that kind of person. So. I'm hoping it does kind of pan out, but I don't see them doing much.
No, I don't. And I at least as long as the offense and Richardson play well and they still lose games, then if I'm a Colts fan or you're in the Colts organization, that's a win, right? Like they have Michael Pittman Jr. and Isaiah McKenzie on the outside for him to throw to. If Taylor comes back, then they have Taylor, so that kind of opens up everything. So I think if the offense can do well, like I said, and they just don't win a lot because I don't want them to win anyway, but just as long as Richardson develops, like you mentioned, and the offense can grow, then I think if you're a Colts fan, you got to think at least we're going in the right direction at that point.
Yes,
And then
that's what they're hoping for.
I'll mention the Texans, but like you said, I don't know what there is to talk about.
No, everything's too young.
Yeah, they're all just so young.
The head coach is young, not just in age, but like in tenure is really what I mean. But yeah, CJ Stroud, I think he's talented. I think he's going to be good, but he needs time to develop. I doubt that's going to start right now. I mean, development starts now, but not the peaks or not where you're seeing these big strides, especially on that team. They were able to pick that high for a reason. So I don't think, DeMeco Ryans, defensive minded coach, that's not going to help CJ Stroud, I don't know who he picked as this OC or if he has yet. I'm sure he has, but I just don't know who it is. So I don't know how CJ Stroud develops, having a defensive minded head coach. I don't know. I mean, I know he's a franchise legend, so that's good. And I think that he'll do something. So we'll just see how it goes. PFF has them winning about 5 games.
Okay, I was going to say 6 max. The only thing I wish would happen, but I know it's not going to happen, is the Titans have those old throwback Oilers jerseys coming back. And I would really like them to wear them against the Houston Texans, just because that would be hilarious.
Oh, because the Houston Oilers, yeah.
Partially too because I feel like the Texans have asked in the past about being able to possibly wear it, but the Titans own all that stuff because they're the team that technically was the Oilers. So, and they're never going to let them do it. So that's kind of like this weird interdivision on top of the rivalry already that I like. So
you would,
yeah, I love it.
Of course. Yeah, other than that, I don't see them as in the Texans doing much of anything.
So. No, not at all.
Let us move on to the AFC North.
To the North.
Who we got? Are we the same again? No. Different this time. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. So we got the Ravens, your selection to win the NFC North, and the Bengals. B for Bengals. B for Brendan. B for Bengals. Not Brown. Sorry, puppy. You are very cute. Not with that face. You're kind of angry, but anyways. So, why Ravens? Besides, I mean, a lot of obvious reasons.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's look at last year. They won 10 games and made the playoffs, and Lamar only played in 12 of the games and did not play in the playoff game. And I didn't realize until you and I were talking about it that it was as close. I knew there was a close game, but I didn't know to the extent until you showed me that video of how, like, the Ravens were tied with them 17-17 in that playoff game with the Bengals, and they were going down to score on like a goal line play, and they fumbled.
There's like 9 minutes left in the game, yeah.
Yeah, and Cincinnati picks it up, runs all the way back for a touchdown, goes up 24-17, and that's the final score. So
yep.
I feel like last year with that, they were almost there. Now they have Lamar back. He's under contract. He's healthy. They brought in OBJ for him, so he's got a weapon on the outside. They have a new offensive coordinator that they brought in.
Drafted a receiver.
Todd Monken, who they brought in as a offensive coordinator. And from what I keep hearing out of camp or we read on Twitter is him and Monken are like seeing everything eye to eye. I think Lamar mentioned he saw like a route or something on a video game or on Twitter, and he showed his coach it. And like the next day it was like added into a playbook somewhere. So you can tell that the collaboration and like a partnership is there, which I think obviously when Lamar goes to the farm, he's going to feel more comfortable making changes and know what he's doing. So, and then we just talked about, Clowney was out there. Well, now they just signed Clowney to add on to their defense. That's already good as an extra defensive lineman. So I think at the end of the day, I think Lamar's out to prove everybody and show that his contract is worthy. And I feel like he's going to have an MVP caliber season, to be honest.
I can see that as long as he's healthy, obviously, because that's just been, unfortunately, his forte lately. Hot shoot. Missed the end of the season. Darn it. Yep. So this is the best division. I do think there's the two at the top that are really the division contenders, but I do think that the Steelers and even really the Browns can surprise people this year. Yeah. People forget how good Deshaun Watson was. He was up 24 to I think nothing in Kansas City before Patrick Mahomes realized that he was playing a football game that day and then decided to go out and obviously come back and win.
I've been there too as a Titans fan. I get it, man. It's
so, yeah. So obviously they're still, contenders as well. So this is a stacked division. Cleveland, it just never seems to work. I know that they're good. So, with a full off season and a full regular season, because obviously he was suspended 11 games last year, even though he came back for the Texans. Why 11 and come back for the Texans game?
I don't know.
NFL really knows how to play that TV schedule, huh? Yeah. So, but they could do a lot. They could do a lot. They have some weapons, and they have a really good defense. So, but I don't think they will. The Steelers are iffy. If Pickett could take the next step, and dude, George Pickens is insane. That guy's crazy. I think Ryan Clark is insane for saying that he is more skilled than Jared Jefferson in Minnesota, but he's really good. So really, the whole division boils down to the two teams that we've each individually picked. I just think that the Bengals have been knocking on that like championship door, and this is like their window. The Ravens have improved. Obviously, they've added the people that you've discussed, and Lamar's back and happy. I don't know if it all clicks right away. New receivers, obviously receiving's about time. It's not like a new running back, and not that it can't happen. These guys are professionals. They know exactly what they're doing. And Odell looked amazing in LA, so he obviously can come in and smooth in right easily. But I do think that Joe Burrow is just a complete package. His team is back again. They have almost the same exact roster that they've had recently. They've lost a few key players, and you mentioned two of them being their safeties, but I do think that they just kind of take it and go from there.
Yeah, and you mentioned the safety, Jesse Bates and Von Bell are the two guys that left in the offseason from Cincinnati, and that's kind of the reason I didn't pick them to win the division. I feel like that losing those two guys on the back end of the defense is going to be huge, so they might kind of start off slow defensively and maybe get better as the year goes on. But I feel like Baltimore is going to come out from the get-go ready to go and just be way ahead early, and then ultimately it'll be close in the end, but I think the Bengals will fall short. When it comes to the Browns, like you mentioned, I think a lot of people don't realize or forgot about how good Deshaun was when he was able to have a camp and an off season and a full season to play. So I think him having that opportunity this year is huge for the Browns. Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, David Njoku, Nick Chubb, that's like a hell of an offense and a lot of weapons for him to have.
Not bad.
And again, not only did he not play very much last year, have camp or like everything, but now he's got a second year with this offense. It always comes down to like guys in second years of certain offenses when they have more time to
click.
Yeah, exactly. You've had a whole second off season to like just let it sink in of what you made mistakes on the year before and where you need to improve. And I think that's a big part of where the Browns are going to improve as a team this year. And then the same thing you said about the Steelers, man. Kenny Pickett, it all depends on him and how much he improves. But at the end of the day, dude, I still think they're going to win 9 games. Like, Tomlin hasn't had a losing record in his entire career, and I think this is his 17th or 18th season taking the head coaching job there. So even when they're not good and they're rotating quarterbacks, it just seems like they always compete and their defense is always legit. So if the offense and Pickett can be like semi-decent, I think they're going to be in a wild card chase. I just don't know if they'll ultimately get there. They might fall like a game short.
I saw a graphic the other day to support how good the Steelers just constantly are, even before.
Yeah, it's not just Tomlin.
Yeah, even before Tomlin, there was a graphic that said it had a list of all the teams and their most recent top 5 draft pick.
Oh man,
I think it was the Ravens who actually were the second, but every single team except the Steelers has had one in the 2000s. The last top 5 draft pick for the Steelers was Terry Bradshaw.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. I knew they were always good because like they're always competitive. Like I said, I think they're also like one of the few teams, if not the team, with the least amount of head coaches in their franchise's history.
Yes. Yeah, they've had like 4 in the past ever.
Bill Cowher was there forever. Tomlin was 20. Like they just don't fire guys because they all know what they're doing within those 4 walls and they just do their job.
Yep.
Yeah,
so I think that
good and just compete at least at the worst case for a wild card.
Agree. I can see that happen. Okay, so let's move on then. Moving on from the AFC North, we're going to take it to the last division, obviously. We only have the AFC East left. Let's see who we have picked for the division winners. Rat Race. Wow. Picking the same team again? Okay, so the 3-time champions are out as division champs, at least. We've selected. I've picked the Dolphins, and you've picked the Jets. Okay, Jets. Aaron Rodgers comes and continues his dominance over in the AFC East, leaving the NFC North. Huh?
Yeah, well, partially, I think it's because Buffalo has been good for a while. They struggled in the playoffs, obviously, and always lose the big games. I feel like after a while, I know that coach has been there a while. Sometimes it just kind of goes stale, and I don't know if with the Stephon Diggs thing about not wanting to be there, but he says he wants to be there. Whatever's going on, I feel like
Exactly.
they're going to have some turmoil and not have the best season that they've had in a while. So, and the Dolphins are improving, but I just don't know if Tua can one make it through a whole season yet, or well, healthy one, but two, do it for an actual whole NFL season length of time. So I feel like the Jets make the most sense Aaron Rodgers, it's got that kind of Tampa Tom Brady feel when he went there the first year where they bring all his friends in. Now his coordinator's there. He's feeling happy and, they're joking, having a good time. Like I know there hasn't been a whole lot of stories out of Hard Knocks, but I know that's going on right now.
Yeah.
It's got that feel of like, now they might start off slow. I have to admit they start off rough with a few teams, but I feel like as the
I think the
season,
Bills game 1.
yeah,
I'm pretty sure, right?
but I think because of that, they end at the end of the year with Atlanta, Houston, Miami, Washington, Cleveland, New England. They could probably easily win 5 of those games. Like the Cleveland one is the one that I'm like, that might be rough depending on how they're looking. But the rest of those are not are young teams up and
They're a
coming.
good team, dude.
Yeah, besides Miami. And I just feel like Aaron Rodgers with all his guys, and let's not forget, if the Raiders get off to a slow start and they're bad and Devontae Adams asks for a trade before the deadline, the Jets are going to be the
Yeah,
first
that's right.
team
Meet
to
up
get
with his
called.
buddy.
Yeah,
You're
because
right. Buddy.
Rodgers gave up $35 million on his contract this year, and they have all that extra cap space. They only gave 9 of it to Dalvin, so there's like $20 million kind of sitting there. I think you could easily fit Devontae Adams in that slot, and then it wouldn't take long for him to get his stride with A-Rod back. I'm sure in the offense that they know and ran together for years.
Very true. Yeah, this whole division. I mean, the AFC East specifically is the best division in the AFC and arguably of football. So, the Patriots aren't really contending for anything, but I mean, they still have Bill Belichick. They're still a hard nosed team. They still don't just roll over, and you know what I mean. So, them being the fourth option, I don't know why I did four. The fourth option, kind of, I don't know. I think the main thing though for the Patriots to me is not really how well they're going to do. I don't think they're going to do very well. I think it's all. I'm going to be watching Zeke. Is Zeke going to be hitting those numbers that we talked about in his contract? I'm just curious to see how much run he actually gets and what he looks like outside of that Dallas system with that, great line that everyone always talked about. And I mean, Patriots have a pretty good offensive line as well, but I'm kind of curious more about what
for building like offensive lines for decades at a time.
Right. So I'm curious to see what he does here more than I'm curious to see what the Patriots do overall. Well, I used to root for the Patriots. I was really more rooting for Tom.
Yeah, exactly.
Until they can get their act together, I'm moving on to bigger and better things. So
yeah, the Patriots. I mean, again, their defense will probably be solid because that's Belichick's specialty. So they'll at least be solid every game. I just don't know if they'll have enough offense. Although with Bill O'Brien being back in New England and calling the offense this time for Mac Jones, maybe that'll help things a little better. But they end their season at Pittsburgh, Kansas City, at Denver, at Buffalo, and then the Jets. I just like if they're even 6-6 at that time or like going into those and you lose all 5 of those, you're under 500 guaranteed and you're not in the playoffs. So I just don't know if they're going to be any good at all. Dolphins, like I said, I'd like Tua and Tyreek Hill and Waddle, like we talked about. The offense should be great, but it's got to be also Tua on the field the entire time. And their schedule in general, they have some you play those 6 division teams, which this division, like you talked about, could be the best in all of football. But then on top of that, they have to play the Chargers, the Broncos, the Giants, the Eagles, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, and Baltimore. Mm-hmm. That is a heck of a schedule.
They're gonna be tested. That's all.
Yeah, every single week for real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I'm with you though. Patriots at the bottom, Bills, Dolphins kind of struggling for those middle spots maybe, and depending on which one gets in second, how good the record is, gets in a wild card spot. But I ultimately see the Jets just flying high, fly Jets fly.
Nope, you're wrong. My least favorite team here is Buffalo, but they are solid and will most likely be in the playoffs. Spoiler, obviously, for our next segments. But I don't have them claiming division glory this year. This would end their 3-year run. Another playoff participant, spoiler alert, but in the wild card spot again will be the Jets, Jets. Aaron Rodgers is what makes this team viable. Their defense was ranked first overall last year by PFF with an 85.3 overall defensive rating. The Niners and the Eagles were second and third with 84.1 and 84 respectively, so a full point above them. And those two teams were in the NFC Championship. In fact, they are actually the only team in top 5 rated defense from last year that did make the playoffs. The other 4, them being 1, the other 4 below them, 2 through 4, were San Fran, Philly, Minnesota, and the Chiefs.
Dang.
So all they needed was to really get this offense rolling because their defense was doing more than their job by being the number 1 rated defense in the conference, or division. No, league. But this year, it's going back to Miami. Okay. Following the trend that's kind of like everything Miami right now, dude, right? I mean, all of South Florida seems to be winning everything. So I'm just going to keep rolling with that. The Dolphins keep Tua healthy all season. They're dominant. Dolphins as a team were actually ranked 7th overall by PFF. That's offensive, defensive, and special teams, everything. And that's with Tua missing 4 games. Wow. So right now I'm just going to say this is their time to seize it. And, I love their coach.
Yeah. I know you're
I think he is
a fan. And I don't blame you, dude. He's hilarious.
He is hilarious. I have a couple clips that we have to show just to kind of show his weird, quirkiness. The first one is actually him with his own quarterback. Let's check this out.
I couldn't sleep for a minute. I slept and then I woke up at 3 and I couldn't go back to sleep. So I was thinking about when you randomly hit me up that you're YouTubing me.
Yeah.
And so then I YouTubed you and saw this Trent Dilfer thing showing all this high school from you.
Great.
And bro, your technique was trash. You know what I mean?
It's calling his own quarterback
cool,
trash.
You can see little elements of your swag. But you were stressed out. Woo! You were all,
You heard him. You heard him, guys. I got swag.
Dude, that's you. Heard what Tua just said? Anybody? It's a dangerous indicator that you don't have swag. He just told me, you heard those guys, they think I have swag. That's how you know you don't.
That's how you know you don't. Dude, this guy is so funny, man. He's talking to his own quarterback. I was watching you and you were not good, man.
You were terrible. But
terrible.
Dude, that's some of the best things though, because in the most serious moments to have to somebody to keep it cool and get you laughing and kind of get you to calm down and maybe take that bad play out of your mind that you had on the last drive or something. It's it's just nice to have someone like that to kind of lighten the mood a little bit and just get you to laugh and kind of chill out. Even though at the end of the day, these games are all they care about. All 17 of them are important, but you're still just a human at the end of the day. Just have a good time.
That's true. I mean, he wouldn't make it on Bill Belichick's squad, but
no.
that's neither here nor there. So, yeah, but he just seems like that's actually a good point. That's very true. Kind of break it up. I don't know if this was a preseason game or where this was in the game, but it was just a funny clip. We got one more. This is him with the press, actually.
Oh, okay.
So let's just see part of this, what this interview is. Quick snip.
About the 5-minute 16 mark. You spoke to Justin Fields on the side. It seemed like you said to him to stop running the ball. Did you kind of knew that's what the game plan was for them going into the game, or?
No, I just wanted him to stop scrambling, and it was pretty irritating because he didn't listen at all. He didn't take coaching.
He didn't take the coaching from the other team.
Yeah, I was going to say the other coach on the other side.
Oh, dude, this guy just literally, he just makes me laugh, man. So I think he's so funny.
Yeah, he's a great dude. And I know he's had some weird press conferences. Obviously, that's one of them. But I remember the one too about him not showering when he was in San Francisco. They asked him about it. He was like, "Yeah, I won't let that happen here. I'm the head coach now. I can't do that. I'm not just the coordinator like I was over there."
Jeez, dude, that's so funny. He just has those funny one-liners. Like you said, I think it's so cool that he can maybe make it that way. So that way he's just lightening up the mood. So I'm saying he keeps it light all season. Tua stays healthy all season. They claim division glory.
It's not a bad pick.
I agree. Well, so after we like last time, we covered our division winners, kind of talked about other division components as well. This time though, we are going to move into the wheel again. We have the other wheel of questions.
Spin that wheel.
So let's get over to the wheel. These are AFC related, of course. That because obviously we're covering the AFC. Let's share the wheel. So we're gonna take 3 questions each again. We'll go back and forth. Who you want to go first?
I'll
You go first this time. Okay.
I'll go first.
Maybe you went first last time, but
I honestly don't remember. But I will go first today, gladly.
okay. Tell me when to spin.
Spin that wheel.
Okay. Question is, does Deshaun Watson lead the Browns to the playoffs?
Well, this will be a spoiler for the next thing because, I have him making it as a wild card team. So, yes, I think Deshaun Watson does lead the Browns to the playoffs.
Okay. Like you kind of talked about when we were talking about the division, specifically the AFC North. There's a lot of weapons there, man. I think they're a little bit underrated just because they obviously are the Browns like they always are. But all right.
I expect big things from them this year, but now it's your turn for the wheel.
Spin this wheel.
Spin it. Oh, I was hoping you were going to get that one. Does anyone give Mahomes legit competition for an MVP award this regular season?
Yes. Mr. Patrick. That's him. Mr. Joe Burrow does. Joe Burrow is coming back out. I'm telling you, the Bengals are coming out swinging this year. I think that there's a couple quarterbacks. Obviously, it's pretty much only the quarterbacks that are ever involved in it. I think at the beginning, of course, there's going to be the Jalen Hurts talk if he still comes up hot. Obviously, he was doing really good. Lamar Jackson, like you said, when you were talking about why they're going to win the AFC North, is he's going to have that MVP caliber season. I think he'll be talked about a lot. Everybody always talks about Josh Allen, and we're going to probably include Justin Herbert. But I really think nobody, as it kind of dwindles on in the season, people start kind of falling off besides Patrick, of course, and I think Joe. So whether or not Joe wins it, I'm not saying that, but I think if it's not going to necessarily be a landslide, hopefully, as long as Joe's healthy the whole season, I think he does.
All right, good one. Spin that wheel for me, buddy.
Your next question. All right, perfect. Okay, so the question is, does Russell Wilson have more than 30 touchdowns and less than 10 interceptions? Let me give you a little bit of background first. He averages for his career in his 11 seasons 28 touchdowns and 9 interceptions per season.
Right at the numbers.
Right. His highest ever in one season was in 2020. He had 40 touchdowns. His lowest ever was last year. He had 16.
All right. I am going to go with yes to both. It's going to be 33 touchdowns and 8 interceptions because if his career average is 29 and 8 or 28 and 9, whatever way you said it, I feel like he threw 40 only in 2020. That's not that long ago. And I think with Sean Payton and an open offense like they used to have in New Orleans, will give him some more opportunity to get some more touchdowns. And I think he'll get 32, 33.
Okay. All right. I'm note 33 touchdowns and 8 interceptions is what you said, right?
Write it down.
Okay. Writing it down. We'll see. We'll check back in later throughout the season. We'll see how this is going.
You better not throw 8 by like week 10.
Yeah, we'll see.
If you don't, even if he throws 10 like in 17 games, I'll feel better. But don't throw it like in 8 or 9 games to make me feel real.
True. Dumping it quickly. Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna hold you to it. We'll see how close your prediction is.
All right.
My second question.
Spin it. Oh man, I really want someone to go.
Yeah, you wanted this one.
All right. Does Aaron Rodgers play MVP caliber football?
MVP caliber
some
football.
Numbers first.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is MVP caliber?
Times his averages of his MVP seasons are 68% complete percentage, 4,300 yards, 42 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, a 117 passer rating, and a 77.6 quarterback rating. So,
dude,
he can play not necessarily better than all those numbers, but at least up to par or close around those numbers.
I say his completion percentage, his passer rating, and his interceptions will be around there. I think 42 touchdowns is a lot. I think he gets like high 30s, so I think he falls short on that. And I don't know about yardage. I just know they signed Dalvin Cook for a reason. I mean, I know they can toss it to him, but Yeah, I know he could throw the ball. So I'm gonna say just under his averages, but because it's a New York marketplace, of course he will be in MVP talks.
All right, I like it.
All right, last question for you.
Damn it. I hope I get the one I want since this is my last one. No.
Is it? Oh! Is that the one that you wanted?
Yes, this is what
I know that's the
wanted.
one. You wanted the hot seat?
Yep.
Okay. Question is Bill Belichick on the hot seat this year?
He totally is. If he can't at least win, like go 500, well, I guess 9-8 because you have to go better than 500. If he can't go 9-8 and compete for wild card, if not make one, and they don't make the playoffs and go under 500, you kind of have to think if you're Robert Kraft at this point, like, okay, he's been doing this for 20 some years. Maybe it's time for him to move on. He hasn't won much since Brady left. Maybe it was
hasn't
more
won
of
anything.
Maybe it was more of the combination than we realized, or a lot. Well, okay, defensively, Brady doesn't play defense, and they've always had good defenses under Belichick.
Yes.
So it is partially Brady, but it is also partially Belichick. But without Brady, who then went and won a Super Bowl right away and then was in the playoffs the next year before he retired, like if you're Robert Kraft, you kind of have to think about it, right? Maybe just pull him up into the front office as a role and let somebody else take over as the coach.
Yeah, because he's obviously not going to take like a demotion to just defensive coordinator.
No.
Yeah, so I say, like you said, like an advisor.
Yeah, keep him around, but step back.
He knows football, obviously.
Yeah, there's no doubt in that.
He's
but
the winningest coach of all time. But
take a step back, man. It's all good. You have nothing left to prove except the longer you not make it, and Brady did win without you, the worse it looks for you.
The worse it looks. Exactly. Especially if your team keep getting worse. Like Mac Jones is not doing anything for you. The team, agree. So, okay, my last question. I didn't want this one. That's okay.
And I know what I would answer, but the question is, will Mike Tomlin have a winning record this year? We did mention earlier he has never had one in the 17 years he's been in Pittsburgh.
No, a losing record. He's never had a losing record. He's only had a winning record. Yeah. Yes, he will. I do think that they are good enough to be above 500. I think Kenny Pickett comes back with the weapons they have, especially George Pickens. Pickett to Pickens.
Oh, man, that's going to be fun.
Right? Steelers.
I can't wait to hear Romo say that.
True. He's going to have fun with it. I do think they do. They have a good defense, obviously, with TJ Watt over just dominating any quarterback that's in his sight. And I think they progress more than another year with Najee Harris and in the offense. Everything just kind of keep progressing. So whether or not they make the playoffs, I am teetered on, but they are above 500.
Mike Tomlin does it again.
Agree. Okay, so transitioning now. Thank you for the questions. Love that little wheel, man. Like you said, I think it'd be fun to do like a non, when it's not just the like questions wheel. Like we can do questions about ourselves, like a non-topic related one. I think that'd be
absolutely
kind of fun. So, okay, but what right now we're going to do is break into the brackets, just like we did for the NFC. We're going to break into the brackets for the AFC. We're going to start this time. Let's do it. Okay. I'm going first this time.
You're up, man. Explain your brackets.
So, number 1 seed, I've got the Chiefs taking it. Bengals at 2. Jags at 3. Dolphins at 4. Dolphins at 4. I'm about to say it again. Titans at 5. Jets at 6. And Bills at 7. I have the AFC East dominating. I just think all the teams are really that good. Like I mentioned just earlier, I think it's the best division in the conference, possibly in the league. So I have the 2-7 matchup of the Bengals Bills, the 3-6 matchup of the Jags Jets, and the 4-5 matchup of the Dolphins Titans. I think you guys get in, man. I went through the schedule. I know that you guys' defense is pretty good. The reason why, man, is because I feel like everybody doesn't pick you, including myself, when I'm not even thinking about you. And then I look up like week 11 and you guys are, 8-3. I'm like, oh,
see,
what?
That is what I like, is that nobody talks about them, and then they are good, because as soon as there's talk, that's when usually they fall apart. Because like you said, by like week 9 or 10, they're usually like 6-4, 7-3 the last couple of years, and then all of a sudden they're on every channel that I turn on, and I'm like, no, stop! Like, stop talking about us. It's too early. I don't want that. I don't want anybody to talk about it.
Yeah, so well, you got DeAndre Hopkins and all this kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and so everybody's going to be talking about you.
I
So,
hate it.
well, too bad. You're in the playoffs, okay? We're vying for the number 1 overall draft pick, okay? Kick rocks. So obviously, with Kansas City as the 1 seed, they get the bye. So we'll break down the 3 games. I apologize. Bengals, I think, are at home. Obviously, I think they escape narrowly, and Joe Burrow marches on. I think the home field is what really helps here because I think these 2 teams are very good. My guess is the Cincinnati defense kind of steps up at the right moment, or that Burrow leads like a game-winning drive, whether that be a extra point, a field goal, or a touchdown. One of those things happen. I think they keep it close, but I think that the Bengals ultimately kind of take it.
I can see either of those things happening at the end of the game.
Yep. Kind of like similar to what they did against the Ravens, I guess, right? That defensive stop where maybe not necessarily a 98-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown, but maybe just the fumble recovery alone.
In general,
like yeah. So Jets, Jags, I think the playoff berth is enough to keep Rodgers and the Jets fans happy. He'll definitely return because they made the playoffs. It was happy. But I do think they go down to Florida and take that out.
Ooh.
Trevor came back down 27 last year. And I don't think that he'll. Yeah, well, yeah, I agree. I don't think that he'll face that this time. I think that that was his first playoff experience. He'll have felt it now, and I think that he basically changed from half to half. So a whole game now, and and another one which they lost. I understand, but played in. So I think that he obviously a very formidable opponent with the defense that I talked about, but I think that they move on. Now, I have the last one obviously being the Titans and the Dolphins. This one was tough, man, because I do think that both teams are good. Solid defense, good run game, good coaching. Probably I'll give the slight edge to you guys in Mike Vrabel. I think just being with the Patriots and being a Super Bowl winning player, linebacker himself, I think kind of gives him a little bit of edge. And he's just had this team who nobody, like you said, nobody talks about. Lucky for you, happy for you, that just keeps winning. But I think the weapons... Yeah, I think that weapons that Miami has for Tua is just what kind of pushes him over. I understand that Tannehill has Hopkins and Henry, but that's kind of where it stops. I think it's a low-scoring game, but I think the Dolphins kind of squeak it out by like a field goal or a touchdown. So,
okay,
what do you think about my picks? So this is what I'm taking.
I mean,
obviously I do the reseeding again. So
yeah, of course. The first round makes. I mean, I can't argue with the Titans losing, especially as a wild card team going to have to go to Miami on the road and travel in a playoff game. That is not going to be easy. Obviously, much warmer than it would be in Tennessee at that time of year.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like you said, they have much more weapons on offense, and I think the Titan defense is solid, but I don't think it's anything to write home about that's going to be great necessarily in the top 10. So I feel like that offense in Miami is just going to roll over them, and I don't really anticipate to be a close game. I would think more like a 27-10 game because the Titans will get a touchdown off Henry, maybe a field goal, and then that'll probably be it.
Okay. I'll give you a little bit more of a chance on that. Yeah, I'll give you a little bit more of a chance. So, okay, so let me move on then. Moving on to the next round. This pits the... So Chiefs are now hosting the Dolphins, something that Miami is not ready for. Obviously, a week rested Andy Reid coming off a bye week, I believe, is some crazy stat. I don't think he's undefeated, but...
Yeah, but it's like, 28-2 or some crazy number like that.
So they're going to cruise. The Dolphins are just going to be happy that they made the playoffs and won in my imaginary world. So they're just not ready. It's a nice South Florida story, right? I got them back in the playoffs and even winning a playoff game, but I think they're going to fall short like the Heat, not necessarily as far as the Heat, but fall short. This is where they really meet their match, man. Mahomes and company, they take care of business, and I think they do it kind of easily. I say it's like a 35-21 game. They're going to be able to score. The Dolphins can score, but I think that Mahomes kind of puts it out, and maybe even more like a 38-21 game. Kind of keep piling on at the end there. Yeah. So that also means that the Jags would travel to Cincy. Cincy I have as the 2 seed, so I have them. I just noticed I have 1 through 4 moving on. Dang. Ooh, I have no upsets. But yeah, so Jags would travel to Cincy. And this is where I think that frostbite kind of comes in. Joe Cool sends the other Florida team packing. And they're just too loaded. They're going to send back down. Lawrence is great, but this is what I do think happens. I think this is kind of where we see Trevor Lawrence kind of come even more out of his shell. A lot of people already have him pretty highly ranked. This is kind of where I see him showing in this game like, wow, there's something to this guy. Yeah, they lost. I get that. But wow, he put on this, he did that, or he had made that play or led that drive. I have a feeling there's going to be like that Trevor Lawrence moment or just an entire Trevor Lawrence game. That's why he should be considered a top 5 quarterback. I think he is, in my opinion. But I do think that he ultimately falls short. I see it like a 31-28, maybe a 31-24 kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, that's a heck of a game if they can hang in with Cincinnati, who's been to a Super Bowl. I feel like at that point, if you're the Jags, you got to feel good about it.
Yeah, 100%. So that basically brings us to...
It's a heck of a title game that we've seen the last couple of years.
Yes. So the Chiefs are hosting another AFC title game. Continues the run through Kansas City. Can't stop it. This was honestly the toughest pick for me. When you guys were talking about it, I literally had to sleep on it. I made the entire bracket and I was like, I don't know. I'm just going to have to do it tomorrow and just kind of try to figure it out. So that's kind of what I did.
Yeah.
And I think that the meeting that they had a couple years ago when Cincy went to the Super Bowl was kind of a foreshadowing of like a handful of these matchups. Like I just think that's why it's going to happen again. Like they beat them, then they lost to them. It's just going to be this back and forth. And after all the Burrowhead talk, it's really been the Chiefs kind of dominating lately. But I think Joe Shiesty comes up big, goes back to the Super Bowl. Final's going to be a shootout. I'm going to give it like a 35-31.
Okay, yeah, it's a big game.
But I think that the Bengals are going to the Super Bowl.
All right. So that means if you, in your case, that means the AFC would have had 2 champions the last 6 years, 5 years. It's been basically Chiefs and Bengals, right?
And the Bengals that one time.
5?
Yeah, because the Chiefs have been to 3 Super Bowls.
And
the Bengals went to 1.
Yeah, this would be the Bengals' second. So yeah, that'd be 5 years, 6 years, 5 years in a row, just Chiefs and Bengals in the Super Bowl. That'd be crazy.
That's the way I see it. Yeah,
hey, but like you talked about, it could be the foreshadowing of a bunch of matchups between them because it's like Peyton and Brady being the AFC back in the day.
Yeah, that's what I'm envisioning. So, but again, don't forget about Trevor Lawrence. He's going to show why the Jags are pretty good. As long as they can put a core around him and keep the coaching staff, I think that they're going to start being pretty good too.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right.
Yeah, that is a little bit unfortunate for you. So, but fun for the league because the Jags have been a laughing stock. They had like one good season where they gave Brady a run for their money.
Yeah, with Blake
Bortles,
Brady won. People.
Of course, yeah. That was when Jalen Ramsey was on the team doing work too. So.
Dude, that was a good defense that year.
Yes, it was. Leonard Fournette was there also. So Brady played against him and then helped him win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, Lenny got him one when he was in Tampa.
Exactly. So, you want to move on to your bracket?
Let's break it down. Bring out the bracket.
There's mine. Here is Corey's one.
Oh,
bracket.
So we definitely obviously talked about we have some differences. So my conference breakdown of 1 through 7, obviously I have the Chiefs at the top, so they're going to be in the bye week. The 2 seed, I have the Ravens. Again, I talked about Lamar, I think having an MVP caliber year. I think that's part of it is even though they get the 2, I think they push the Chiefs in a race for the 1 seed, but I think they ultimately get it. I see the Jets getting the 3 seed. The Jags will get the 4th. I think maybe Jacksonville will get it as a 10-win team, but that means winning game 17 against Tennessee Titans to win the division and kind of kick them out. Then I see in the wild card, I do see your Bengals making it. I do have the Bills getting in there. And then my sneaker other team is going to be the Browns, which I mentioned earlier.
Oh, yeah, a little foreshadowing from before. That's right.
I think the Browns get in. I think the AFC North, like we talked about, is really good. So I have 3 of their teams making it into the playoffs. Okay. I think they're really good.
They're good.
So when it comes to the first round, I have actually some division matchups, obviously. Browns are going to the Ravens. Bills are going to the Jets, and the Bengals are at the Jags. So there's some different matchups, but a couple division ones. I think the Ravens ultimately take care of business. I think they are on a mission to prove the world wrong. Again, we talked about they've added all the weapons, OBJ especially, and now Jadeveon Clowney on the defensive side. I think they're ready. I think having played the Browns a 3rd time against a division opponent gives you that much edge. And I think Deshaun Watson is good, but again, I just think the Ravens are ready to go this year.
They're a better team. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, for sure. When it comes to the Bills and Jets, I think ultimately Aaron Rodgers, I think he's got a Tampa Brady feel this year, so I expect them to move on in this first round. And then does Stephon Diggs want to stay out? Is he going to? If it's another early playoff loss like this for the Bills, then the questions become about Stephon Diggs. Do we start to question Allen and how good he really is? Is it really?
Yes.
Is he as good as we think he is, or is he not? And it just was the AFC was bad for a couple of years and he took advantage. I don't know.
Yes. Above average quarterback. That's what I think.
But ultimately, I see the Jets moving on. And then when it comes to the Bengals and Jags, I see the Bengals going to Florida and taking care of business. Joey B killed in LSU and in the SEC, so I don't think playing in Florida is going to be an issue that time of year regardless. And I think it'll be a duel between Lawrence and Joe Burrow, but I just think at the end of the day, Burrow's going to have the ball last and drive them down for whether it's a field goal drive or a game-scoring touchdown. I think the Bengals move on to the second round. So in the third round, which is the divisional stuff, which really gets, man, these 14
tight
left. Yeah, yikes.
They're good, bro. Stacked teams, man.
So you have the Bengals and Chiefs in the AFC title game. I have them in this divisional round instead.
Okay.
It sets up their third straight playoff matchup. I just think all the Burrowhead talk last year, if the Bengals bring that up again, which knowing their locker room and their vibe of their team, they're kind of trash talkers. That's what they do.
Yeah,
So,
but not that. God, just leave that out.
yeah,
Come
you
on.
would expect, but again, we'll see what happens.
Never
But
know. Yep.
you go into town and Kansas City's going to be at that point just ready to go because they want to kick their butt anyway after the last couple of years. So I think that the Chiefs ultimately, again, Pat Mahomes does some magic in the fourth quarter. I think it's a close game, most of it, and then they find a way to just get some kind of crazy play in the last 5 minutes, and then they get a field goal to win it, and Pat Mahomes goes on to host his sixth straight AFC title game in Kansas City.
I mean, he only needs 13 seconds, so
yeah, seriously, it's kind of crazy.
that was nuts, bro.
And then as far as who they're going to host in the AFC title game, again, I've gone back and forth because I mentioned Tom Brady, Tampa Field for Rodgers in New York, and I've also mentioned Lamar Jackson just being the man this year. And I think Lamar Jackson and the Ravens ultimately kind of win this one big. I don't think the Jets will end strong. I think for some reason the Raven defense will be able to slow Rodgers and them down, and the Ravens will move on maybe 27-16. And I think it's Ravens going to Kansas City in order to battle for the
Burrowhead. I mean, Arrowhead.
Right? Burrowhead.
Yeah,
it's gonna be Lamar head now. That's what the new.
Yeah, that doesn't kind of flow as well, but I got you.
So, that's my pick. I said Lamar head right there. That's where I'm going. I went back and forth for a while because I just think that Mahomes is so good, but it's so hard to win back-to-back Super Bowls. They've already been to back-to-back, and having go into 4 and 5 years, I just feel like that's going to be taxing at some point, even if they are hosting. But I feel like Baltimore plays outdoors in the cold as well. So I don't think playing in Kansas City in January is really going to affect them. But I think
they play in Loud Stadium too. So
top 5 probably loudest stadium in the NFL as well. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. I just see the Ravens moving on and maybe winning 27-21, something like that, and going to the Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, hey, I like that. So, okay, well, that basically sets up the Super Bowl. I have the Eagles and the Bengals. You have
the Niners and the Ravens, which is a rematch from Super Bowl, I think 47, back in when they played New Orleans. Before we out game.
That's right. We were all just sitting around waiting for them to figure out how to turn the lights back on. I do remember that. That was crazy. Crazy. Okay, but before we get to the picks, let's kind of reveal something. So, as much as I do believe in my picks, I am kind of judging this based off of a bet that I placed earlier this year. I placed it back in March, and I just chose a bunch of division winners really late at night after playing some video games. I was kind of bored before I went to sleep, and I decided I was going to pick some division winners, and I placed a $10 bet on all the division winners back in March for a return of $28,000 if I win. And so the division winners that you saw both here and obviously in the NFC is what we did. So Corey then didn't know, obviously placed it back in March. When we're doing this episode, picked his own. And then you said you placed your bet, right?
Yeah, actually, when we talked about breaking down the other day what our divisions and talking about this bet thing that you did, I was like, well, I'm going to place my own. So I was going to try to do the $10 like you did, but my account that I had only had 7 left, and I wasn't depositing $3 to even up to 10.
To round it up,
$7 bet of what I had left, and yeah, ultimately, if I can get it, I think I win like $4,000 something dollars. I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's check out our slips here.
Cash moves everything around me. Cream, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
This is my division winner betting slip here. So as you can see the odds that I've placed them at. The longest shot I've got obviously is the Giants, and I do believe that is probably the longest shot. The Eagles are freaking stacked, and I'm just going with the NFC doesn't have back-to-back ones for 18 years. knowing my luck, this is definitely going to be the year the Eagles repeat for sure. But hey, you know what? This is all for fun. So listed here: Dolphins, Chiefs, Jags, Niners, Saints, Bengals, Bears, and Giants. Again, placed on March 18th. So this was a long time ago.
Yeah,
This
I'm
is
sure
before-
you-
Aaron
you
Rodgers wasn't even
got-
on the Jets yet.
I'll say you obviously got much better odds or different odds than I did because I did mine yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. So let's check out your slip.
Got money, yeah, and you know it, yeah. Take it out your pocket and show it, yeah.
Good old
Sorry.
T-Pain.
I thought that was the music video. Whoosh, no, that wasn't it. Okay.
No, that one didn't swoosh, man. You checked already, and that was just us. We're
That was
just bad
us
at
back in the
dancing.
day.
Yeah. What do we know, man? We're white, man. What do we know? Okay, so you check yours out. Okay, what we got here?
$7 to win 44, 47, 54. That's not bad. So again,
Not bad.
Jets, Ravens, Jags, Chiefs, Eagles, Vikings, Saints, Niners. That's what I need. And if one of us wins, that's awesome. But I honestly hope it's yours. Yours is worth way more than mine. So go.
I'll give you your $4,447.54 if I win. How about that?
I'll take
way
it.
we
You're
both
going to
win.
give that out of your 28K. Well, cut it in
28K.
half because of taxes. I'll take half of that.
Okay, fine. Yeah. Well, yeah, of course. I'll do the proportion of what I was taking out. We'll do
Perfect.
percentages and stuff like that. So your longest shot is the Jets then at plus 250. No, the Vikings at plus 270. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, hey. Okay, so that's pretty good.
So I know
Okay.
I wish we could both win, but that's not possible. So one of us win, please.
Yes, down. And as we get closer, obviously, as we have to wait, maybe we should start doing, if you want, we're about to reveal our Super Bowl picks. You want to throw a little bet? I know you said you used the last $7, but maybe you can fund it and we could throw a bet on Super Bowl winners right now. Like we're about to
Ooh.
reveal them now. I mean, we don't have to reveal them on the show or place the bet on the show, but like maybe we place the bet afterwards if you're down.
Okay, yeah, maybe we'll update on another show that we did that or not.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on Monday if we do it or not.
Nice.
All right, well, let's get to the Super Bowl picks then. Let's see who we got here. Okay, so this is your Super Bowl. This is the lights out Super Bowl. You want to give us a rundown of how you see the Super Bowl going? Before you tell us the winner, just tell us how you see, give us a little bit of a...
Yeah, so I feel like this is going to be a really good Super Bowl, kind of like the one they were in last time where it ended by a field goal winning, or by, I should say score, not by a winning field goal at the buzzer. But I feel like both defenses are really good. So it's going to be low scoring. Justin Tucker's probably going to have a field goal late in the game that's going to be meaningful. Yeah, right. I mean, he makes everything. And because it's going to be low scoring, I feel like the final score might be like maybe 20-17. And because of that, I think the MVP of the Super Bowl will be OBJ, since he didn't get it the last time he played for the Rams when he got injured, which is me to tell you, Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. I think they're going to ultimately be.
All right. Okay. So Ravens win.
Ravens winning it all. They're going to Vegas and they're leaving. Actually, might as well just party and celebrate there that night. You don't have to go out of town.
True. So OBJ wins Super Bowl MVP.
I think it's the redemption story from the injury and everything. He should have got one if he would have been healthy for the whole game last time with the Rams. Lamar comes back and he's on a redemption tour. I feel like everything's going to jive in Baltimore and it's their time.
I like it, man. I like it. You saw that Raven just beating up that Niner. Sorry, I put it over while you were talking.
No, it's all
All right. Okay, let's move on then to my Super Bowl. Got the Eagles making it back.
Oof.
Against the Bengals this time. I see this being a great game. I see that. Both teams are so good. They have good offenses. I think that's their best point. Eagles obviously have probably a little bit better defense, but I think the crazy part is, you and I were talking about this before the show started. There's this stat that's out there right now where if you go to the Super Bowl and the first time you go you lose, of recent history, you never go back.
Oh,
let me run down the list of the quarterbacks that are in that category. We're going to throw Jalen Hurts in there because it hasn't happened yet, but obviously a little bit of asterisk there because this would be the year for him to have the opportunity.
correct.
But Joe Burrow lost to the Rams. Jimmy Garoppolo lost to the Chiefs, hasn't been back. Jared Goff lost to the Patriots, hasn't been back. Matt Ryan, I get it, late in his career, but lost to the Patriots. His first time there, hasn't been back. Cam Newton also a little bit more later in his career, but lost to the Broncos, never went back. And then the other kind of weird one, but still technically won, Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah,
I know that
true.
was a huge different situation, but basically what I'm saying with my Super Bowl is that's dead ends now because both of these guys
I was
make it
just
back.
gonna
Jalen
say.
Hurts does it. Joe Burrow crosses that off the list, and I think they both play each other to figure out who wins this stat-breaking run. I think Joe Burrow, though. I think
We are the champions, my friend.
I think Joe Burrow is just too ice cold
I
in a
don't
good
blame
way.
you.
And I think he leads the Bengals to their first ever Super Bowl title.
Oh.
Cincy,
Man,
this
that
one's
would
for
be-
you.
The
It's, of
best
course,
thing-
a great game.
The one thing I want to see is when they win is him smoking a stogie like he did at LSU. When they won the BCS or whatever title game, where was that? That game wasn't in Vegas, right? That would be hilarious.
No, I'm assuming it was in. They used to play him in like New Orleans or Atlanta
yeah,
most of the time.
Arizona.
One of those two domes, yeah, or Arizona, yeah. But yeah, I just think he does it. I think it's a great game. I think because the Eagles are obviously no slouch, they were just there. They made it a good game even last year against the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But my prediction is the Eagles turn into maybe like the Bills of the '90s, where they may not go to 4 straight, but I think the NFC is pretty weak right now, and they're a really good team. And although Jalen Hurts, bigger contract kicks in next year, I think they have an opportunity to be kind of dominant. I just don't know if they'll get over the top. And my prediction is that they don't. I'm saying in Bengals 27-24.
It's a good game. As long as it comes down to the wire, then I'm enjoying the game. Wasn't all the Bengals games when they're in the playoffs that year they went to the Super Bowl decided by 3 points?
I do think that was the case.
Well, you have him doing it again there in the Super Bowl, deciding it by 3.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Should be a good one if that's the case.
Yeah, but that's the division and also, or the conference, and then also the wrap up of the rest of the playoffs. We gave you the NFC on Monday's show. Go check that out if you haven't already. Obviously, you're watching the AFC or listening to the AFC show, and we've shown you our Super Bowl winners. Corey's got the Ravens, and I've got the Bengals.
Man, the Ravens would have their 3rd Super Bowl victory already. That is crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
I just want one in Tennessee, man. I just want one.
You can do it.
Yeah, maybe. My lifetime would be
I
nice.
believe in you guys. What you mean in your life? Well, you guys were close that one time. I
I
guess.
know,
it
but
just
that was
didn't-
23 years ago. Like, where can we get back now?
Yeah. So you had the 7th highest odds according to FanDuel. The Ravens do that plus 1,800 to win. And I think the Bengals, of course, I didn't write it down. I think they were the 5th overall at plus like 1,000. So
Oh, okay. So we both got some pretty solid favorites. Not favorites, but at least teams that could definitely do it.
yeah, like top 7, obviously, since we'll put you at 7. So I think that wraps it up right there for that. Let's move out of football. We're gonna, of course, go back in time. Speaking of all the history about the quarterbacks who don't come back, let's send it on over to this week in sports history. This week in sports history. So this week in sports history, I got 2 again. You know what I've realized, actually? I was talking to you about this. I can't pick one anymore. There's too many good ones. In fact, this one I was listing like 4 or 5 as I was reading them off. But what I'm going to do from now on is do 2. I'm going to narrow down to my 2 favorite ones. Okay. The first one we have is on August 20th, 2000. Tiger Woods won the PGA Championship in a playoff over Bob May, becoming the first player since Ben Hogan in 1953 to win 3 majors in 1 year.
Wow.
Crazy. Yeah. 1953? It's 47 years it took for Tiger. And Tiger Woods just became elite. Unfortunately, obviously, everybody knows all this back injury stuff and that kind of stuff. But
in his
so
prime,
that was a little bit
we all loved golf more than I ever thought
solid.
we would.
I honestly thought he was going to break the record for most majors, but
I did too,
obviously
but-
injuries kind of prevented him from doing so.
Yeah.
But that's okay. He'll go down as obviously one of the top 2 in my opinion.
Absolutely.
The second one we've got is on August 22nd, 1989. That's taking it back a little bit. Nolan Ryan of the Texas Rangers became the first pitcher to strike out 5,000 batters. Unfortunately, it was in a 2-0 loss to the A's. Nolan Ryan struck out Ricky Henderson on a full count, 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
for number
for
5,000.
number 5,000. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. Landmark strikeout on a Hall of Famer too. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. On a full count, it was that, or he was about to sit at 4,999 with stealing Ricky Henderson on base. That guy's at second right away.
5,000 strikeouts. That's just
First one.
Phew. That's a
Yeah, it's
lot of
pretty crazy.
strikeouts, man. That's
Yeah.
I just thinking about the amount of time you have to play. Obviously, back then the pitchers pitched way more innings, 8 and 9 complete games, even if they go 10 innings sometimes. So that's insane to think 5,000 plus strikeouts.
Hey, good for him, man. Definitely probably the greatest pitcher. I mean, people will have their favorites, right? And there'll be different things that you categorize it as. But his numbers are pretty hard to beat. The only other person that I think is even in close contention are like the Greg Maddixes and like Randy Johnsons of the world. you know?
Yeah. I think Roger Clemens might be in that ballpark area too, because I feel like for a while there.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I feel like for a while there, Clemens and Johnson were kind of battling back and forth of who was in like the second place of most all-time strikeouts, because they were both at in their late 30s, early 40s, still pitching.
Mm-hmm. And one guy looks like he did it clean though.
Yeah, no, Randy definitely did that clean. That guy is a stick.
We'll give it to you, Randy. We'll give it to you, man.
Yeah, I was there for his number time in Arizona when they did it, man. It was awesome.
I remember you got me a shirt. I still have that shirt.
Dude, they asked what size
Thank you for the shirt.
to have. Like, what? At a giveaway? They were like, I was walking in the gate. You know, I work in stadiums, so
You just hand them out.
yeah, you just get rid of them. They're all extra larges. That's usually how it goes. But when you walk up to that day, they're like, what size shirt would you like? And I was like, what? And they're like, we have small through 3X. I was like, oh,
Wow, that's a
my
lot of
gosh.
selection.
Okay. I was like, at every gate, you guys have, they're like, yeah. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it.
Good for them.
Like, what?
Go Diamondbacks, man. Let's go.
Right?
Sweet. Cool, man. Hey, well, so what you got planned for the weekend then? It's Friday.
Well, I'm working live 80s tomorrow. Lost 80s Live, I think is what it's called. So it's a bunch of, one-hit
80s
wonders and
stuff.
stuff. I was reading the list to you earlier. I don't think we knew one band each.
No, I didn't know any of
each.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be weird.
Mhm.
So I'm going to do that for
Yeah.
about 12 or so, maybe 14 hours tomorrow.
Another 29,000 steps.
Yeah, man, maybe not as much. It's not as busy because there's only going to be 4,000 people. So, but I'll probably get
Okay.
20K at least. So it'll be
Okay.
a good day. And
Yeah.
then Sunday is actually, I don't know if you know this, it's actually National Cinema Day. So all movie theaters, I think, are charging $4 for tickets. So
I did not know that, but thank you for telling me. I've been
Yeah,
wanting to go watch a
so,
movie. I want to go see Sounds of Freedom.
there you go. So B and I are talking about what movie to go see on Sunday afternoon. So once I wake up at noon or so after my Saturday.
Exactly.
But
Yeah, true.
yeah, so we're talking about going to the movies on Sunday. But other than that, just chilling, getting ready for football here in a couple of weeks to actually officially start. We got a fantasy draft coming soon too. So just
Yes,
just
sir.
chilling. What about you, man?
Tomorrow I might be going down to San Diego. Actually, my
Ooh.
dad is moving. He lives on a boat, and so he's going to be basically moving marinas. So I'm going to go down there
Okay.
and help him kind of like get everything ready. I can't be down there during the weekend stuff while he's going to be doing it, but I'm going to try to like make sure that everything is kind of like ready for it to move. So
Gotcha.
try to bring my friend Laffy down. You've been
Yeah,
Laffy
super
down
cool.
to see if we could just kind of hang out. I mean, we're going to hang out too. It's not just going to be sit there the whole freaking time and just like do work stuff, but
Yeah.
kind of help him get ready for that and hang out a little bit and just kind of chill. Nothing on Sunday. Church. That's it. Like always. So.
Nice. Dang, dude, I haven't seen your dad in so long.
You want to come?
No,
Always use an extra
I
hand.
might not be awake by the
No, you
time
work.
you guys head down there. So I
No,
think I'm gonna be
you
chilling.
work. You work. It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow.
Oh,
morning,
then yeah,
so.
no, I'm out. I'm out.
Yeah, you
As much as I would love to miss Lost 80s Live, I have to go show up.
work. Well, enjoy work then, man. And,
Yeah, you enjoy the weekend and seeing your dad, man.
yeah, thank you. So to everybody out there, thanks for seeing things from our view from the bench. I'm Brendan.
And I'm Corey. And like we always say, enjoy the sports until we talk again.
Peace.